It turns out that Blake Lively was caught on tape talking about how she manipulates people around her in order to take control of the movies upon which she works.
This is important to say, okay, I believe in this, and that's why I'm standing up for it, and that's why I'm not being difficult. And then there are other moments to go like, am I the in the room? Like, what is happening here? I would show up on a set. I knew that they just wanted me to show up and look cute and stand on a little pink sticker where I'm supposed to go and say what I'm supposed to say. But I also knew that like that wasn't fulfilling for me, that I wanted to be a part of the storytelling, that I wanted to be a part of the narrative, whether that be in the writing, in the costume design, in creating the character. And sometimes I had directors or producers or writers who would welcome that and invite that once they saw that I was able to offer that. And sometimes I would have people who really resented that because they were like, we just hired you to be an actor. Yet when I went in the meetings, I would just seem like I'm just there to be the actor and ready to get the gig. I wouldn't reveal that I actually need to have authorship in order to feel fulfilled. So I think that for them, sometimes that might have felt like a rug pull because you're like, you're trying to assert yourself into something that we didn't hire you to do. And so it was a really strange position to be in because I felt like I don't want to just like be an actor. Like I want to.
Blake stole the movie from him. Even Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively themselves, that all but confirms that yes, Ryan used his nice pool character in Deadpool and Wolverine to mock Justin Baldoni.
I know some people like this movie. Some people are stupid.
Ben Shapiro just unleashed a blistering attack on Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, calling them out for what he says is blatant hypocrisy surrounding the ongoing Deadpool controversy dominating headlines. While the couple continues to paint themselves as victims in the unfolding lawsuit, Shapiro is tearing apart that narrative, accusing them of playing both sides of Hollywood politics. He claims their public image doesn't match their private actions, and the evidence he's presenting is so explosive that even diehard fans are beginning to question whether the Hollywood power pair has finally been exposed.
Don't make fun of Justin Baldoni. You don't make fun of the situation.
And then she did exactly that to Justin Baldoni, apparently. Like that's literally the accusation as to what happened. So first of all, let me point out to Blake Lively, you are an actress. Unless you signed on as a producer or a director, there's literally no reason why your creative input should matter. You're an actor. If you want to write your own script, you should go write your own script. If you want to sign on to a movie with the understanding that you're going to actually make script changes, then great. But if the idea is that you sign on as an actor and then you turn around and try to take control of the script, this makes you a jerk. Like at the very...
For this clip, I guess it was a deleted clip in the film, way too specific, 100% meant to be a giant FU to Justin. Here's a clip from the film that didn't make the cut.
Yeah, but Merc to Merc, yeah, they're crazy. They will chop you up into 1,000 pieces and hide you all over the void. I'd be fighting alongside them, but my calling is to one day host a podcast that monetizes the women's movement. Hey, cowboy, my eyes are up here. I know it's tempting. I look at it too sometimes. Yeah.
Jeez. I mean, so specific.
I'd be fighting alongside them, but my calling is to one day host a podcast that monetizes the women's movement.
Yeah, and then...
Hey, cowboy, my eyes are up here.
Look, there's a part of me that's like, you go, Ryan, if Justin did all these things. But there's also a huge part of me that's like, really, dude? This is so petty. Because it's like, if he really did all the things you say was what to your wife... This just feels too jokey. Like, shouldn't it be taken more seriously? I'm really bummed by this, seeing that this whole character was just a FU mockery of Justin. Like, really? In Deadpool Wolverine? You used Deadpool Wolverine to, like, mock this guy in the film that your wife disagreed with and didn't get along with? It's so hard to process. But it didn't just end there. I don't know how I didn't remember this scene. Lady Pool, portrayed by Blake Lively, gets to take Nice Pool down. Here it is.
Uzi time, baby.
Look alive. In front of what looks like a flower shop. There's Justin. Blake getting her way to finally take out Justin, it seems. Look around all the branches and flower shops. Gift shops. I mean, really? I can't believe they resorted to this. And as if that wasn't enough evidence, Blake Lively herself taunted and did it in the credits of the film. In It Ends With Us, Blake Lively wishes to extend special thanks to Bradley Cooper, a bunch of other people, Taylor Swift's in there, etc. Corn Hoover, which is like a joke as people have now progressed. It was, I guess, Colleen Hoover loves corn, so it's sort of a joke there. But right here, look at this name, Gordon Reynolds. Well, who's Gordon Reynolds? Oh, it must be like someone related to Ryan Reynolds, right? That's clearly just a Ryan Reynolds thing. Nope. Gordon Reynolds was the name that Ryan used to attribute who played Nice Pool. So they couldn't resist. They couldn't just do a little knock and like, haha. They had to like shove it in his face and make it crystal clear. Yeah, Gordon Reynolds. And now he could have done Gordon Reynolds and no one would have probably connected the dots, but Blake had to really just make it clear as day. Miss Lively wishes to extend special thanks to Gordon Reynolds. Man, that's spiteful. And again, there's a part of me that's like, if there was no lawsuits and they didn't get along and there was a problem and like fine, okay. But to do these lawsuits and say how serious this is, and then to do this kind of weird mockery as if, I don't know, what do you guys think? I don't like it.
Ben Shapiro didn't mince words when he took aim at Hollywood's golden couple on his popular Daily Wire podcast last week. In a fiery 20-minute segment, Shapiro launched a scathing critique of Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively that left listeners stunned. This wasn't casual commentary. It was a meticulously constructed takedown exposing what Shapiro described as the pair's insulated Hollywood bubble in striking detail. These are people who preach one thing in public while living by completely different rules behind closed doors, Shapiro told his millions of followers. He claimed that Reynolds and Lively perfectly embody everything wrong with Hollywood's culture of performative activism. His most explosive allegation centered on the idea that the couple lives by two sets of rules, one for their allies and another for their critics, accusing them of blatant hypocrisy when it comes to aligning their public ideals with their private behavior. Shapiro tied this accusation directly to the ongoing Deadpool franchise controversy, suggesting that Reynolds' wisecracking superhero persona conceals a far more calculating and self-serving side in business dealings. The conservative commentator was particularly ruthless when discussing Blake Lively. Here's a woman who's built her reputation on female empowerment and accountability in Hollywood, Shapiro said, yet when it comes to defending her husband's interests, those same values seem to vanish. What truly ignited social media, however, was how Shapiro characterized Reynolds himself. He described the actor as a man who has spent years cultivating an image of charm and integrity while privately operating with ruthless ambition. Reynolds talks about kindness and collaboration in interviews, Shapiro remarked, but the documents in this lawsuit suggest an entirely different reality. Shapiro didn't stop at rhetoric. He came armed with receipts. He replayed past interviews where Reynolds spoke about creative honesty, then contrasted them with recent lawsuit claims that he allegedly undercut a collaborator's contributions. He even cited old social media posts from both Reynolds and Lively championing fairness and creative freedom, implying that those statements now ring hollow given their reported attempts to silence critics. The most damning moment came when Shapiro resurfaced a 2019 interview where Reynolds declared that collaboration means listening to everyone in the room. Shapiro then pointed to legal filings suggesting Reynolds worked to minimize another creator's input on a project, directly contradicting his earlier words. The commentator hinted there was an even larger pattern, connecting the couple's past business disputes to the current lawsuit, teasing, when you step back, you start to see the same tactics repeating. By the end of the broadcast, Shapiro delivered his harshest conclusion yet. Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively aren't just actors. They're brand managers who've perfected the illusion of authenticity while fiercely protecting their empire. He emphasized that this lawsuit isn't an isolated dispute, but rather the latest example of Hollywood's elite saying one thing and doing another. Shapiro closed his segment with a pointed challenge. If Reynolds and Lively truly believe in transparency, why not confront these accusations directly instead of hiding behind PR statements and curated Instagram posts? His final words lingered like a warning. Their silence speaks louder than any spin ever could.
What I make of that is that if your wife is sexually harassed, you don't make fun of Justin Baldoni. You don't make fun of the situation. You take it very seriously. You file HR complaints. You raise the issue and you follow a legal process What you don't do is mock the person and turn it into a joke. There's no question it relates to Justin. I mean, anybody that can watch that, the hair bun, the comment about the pregnancy. I mean, it's pretty obvious what's being done. But again, like if somebody is seriously sexually harassed, you don't make fun of it. It's a serious issue.
Amen. And also, he's monetizing it. He's monetizing the mockery of it. They've monetized this whole thing. She's trying to put her booze in. I didn't know this about Blake Lively. Did you know Blake Lively doesn't even drink? But she's out there hawking Betsy booze. I found this out the other day in another video that popped out. I was like, why are you selling alcohol if you don't drink? Like, that's the weirdest thing. This was like way back. She faces backlash. Blake Lively doesn't drink, faces backlash over sparkling cocktail line, possibly unpopular, but I'm slightly bummed since Blake Lively famously doesn't drink alcohol, but yet she felt the need to launch an alcohol brand. It's phony. That's what we're all reacting to, Blake Lively. You're phony, you're a fraud, and now you're out there trying to play this, big victim. It's harder to believe. It's harder to believe is what I'll say. And I'm not going to call you a liar, as some people out there are being extremely mean. I'm not going to go that far, but man, drinking isn't my thing, but for F's sake, flavor is. Homemade recipes, real fruit, real ingredients, quality booze, no crap. Also a real time saver. This is the new way that celebrities make money, not movies anymore. Movies actually aren't helping them. It's launching tequila brands, as Nikki Glaser joked about in the most recent Golden Globes. And Ryan Reynolds knows this because he got famous off of, do I still have it? Here I do. Because even I fell for it at the time. Ryan Reynolds got so famous because he made aviation gin, which I'll be honest was pretty good. And then he sold it. He sold his gin, cashed out, and good for him. Cashed it out. Now he's still like a part of the company or whatever, but made a fortune off of it and then kept his name and association to it. And that's how these celebrities make a lot of money. So again, my frustration here is this monetizing of Justin and everything and the booze and all of it. She'll make all the money and then complain. Where it's like, really? Why don't you actually complain before the movie comes out? Instead, you guys are like sitting on this for this long, where you're like, ha ha ha, yeah, and then we're gonna kill him in the movie, ha ha ha, and then we'll do this scene too. Oh, do another Justin joke. I'm sorry, but the more I see all this, the more I really dislike Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. They are petty, spiteful bullies. Now, I don't know Justin Baldoni from Adam. I don't know what happened on the set. I don't know if he is what he is. I know his own team has made text messages sort of calling him out. So he's going to have to face all that himself. And I'm not here to pile on because he's facing a lot. At the end of the day, though, these two are so powerful, Ryan and Blake, that I am starting to feel bad for Justin in a way, because I understand why so many of you are going Team Justin, because, look, he's getting bullied. Now, does he deserve the bullying? Was he inappropriate on the set? That's the big question. Were these inappropriate actions really worthy of a lawsuit, et cetera? And if it was that serious, why are you doing these very long, petty attacks to try to get at him, shoot him? Like, to me, this does not help Blake Lively's case.
That silence Ben Shapiro warned about has become deafening now that the lawsuit documents are out in the open. While much of the public remains fixated on Ryan Reynolds' wisecracking role as the Deadpool antihero, the real drama lies in how this legal battle exposes the ruthless power dynamics pulsing beneath Hollywood's glamorous surface. The lawsuit at the center of the storm was filed by Justin Baldoni's Wayfair Studios against Reynolds and several of his affiliated business entities. But the roots of the conflict trace back to 2019, when Baldoni first approached Reynolds about collaborating on a film adaptation of Colleen Hoover's best-selling novel It Ends With Us. At first, the partnership appeared ideal. Reynolds reportedly expressed enthusiasm about working with Baldoni and even promised him substantial creative control and a meaningful financial stake in the project. Yet by 2023, that partnership had completely unraveled. According to the lawsuit, Reynolds allegedly maneuvered to minimize Baldoni's creative input, reduce his compensation, and ultimately edge him out of the production entirely. What has truly rocked Hollywood insiders, however, isn't just the claims against Reynolds, it's Blake Lively's unexpected role in the controversy. Court filings suggest She wasn't merely a bystander supporting her husband, but an active participant in what the lawsuit describes as a coordinated effort to dominate the project's narrative. Multiple sources cited in the filings claim that Lively attended production meetings without official authorization, pushed for specific script changes, and even influenced casting decisions despite having no contractual authority. The financial stakes are staggering. The lawsuit seeks over $50 million in damages for lost opportunities, reputational harm, and breach of contract. But entertainment lawyers estimate the true value of what's being contested could reach into the hundreds of millions once the potential franchise earnings of It Ends With Us and its related projects are factored in. What makes this even more volatile is its connection to the upcoming Deadpool release. The lawsuit explicitly references how Reynolds' behavior on Deadpool mirrors a pattern of creative appropriation, claiming he frequently leverages his celebrity status to renegotiate terms after agreements have been finalized. That accusation has already drawn attention from Hollywood executives who've reportedly experienced similar power struggles with the actor. Behind the scenes, insiders say tensions were far worse than the filings reveal. 3 former Wayfair employees, speaking anonymously, described a string of explosive conference calls where Reynolds allegedly issued veiled threats about Baldoni's future in the industry. One insider called the interactions a masterclass in passive-aggressive power plays that left Baldoni feeling blindsided and professionally cornered. For many in the entertainment world, this lawsuit isn't merely about one film. It's a window into how power truly operates in Hollywood. This case could redefine how creative authority and credit are negotiated, said a veteran entertainment attorney familiar with the filings. It reveals who actually makes the decisions and who gets erased when money and ego collide. For Reynolds and Lively, the stakes couldn't be higher. Their public image as Hollywood's most grounded, relatable power couple now faces its first major reckoning. If even a fraction of the allegations in these filings proves true, it could permanently alter their professional relationships, public reputation, and the carefully curated brand they've spent years perfecting.
And was so petty enough after all this to create a whole character in Deadpool and Wolverine as a way of trolling Justin Baldoni. If you guys saw the movie, there's a character, his name in it is Nice Pool. Here's the clip in question that many are attributing as a trolling of Justin.
But in here, everybody calls me Nice Pool. Oh my goodness, wait till you see Lady Pool. She is gorgeous.
Lady Pool was played by Blake Lively.
She just had a baby too, and can't even tell. I don't think you're supposed to say that. That's okay. I identify as a feminist. Right.
There it is. That's the theory, that he was man buns and all, that this was all a knock on Justin. Now, Justin infamously had a man bun. In fact, he cut it off for charity, guys. But there he is. There's a lot of images you can see of old Justin, which I gotta be honest, do look a little bit like man bun, Nice Pool. And the whole identify as a feminist, clearly Ryan trying to mock him and say that it's nonsense. And I don't know what to believe anymore. I don't know Justin at all, but I will say, man, this is a massively huge level of pettiness from Ryan. Now, again, if everything they're saying happened against Justin, I can understand why Ryan is upset. But feels like a weird thing to joke about if it was as serious as Blake claims. Really, to just like mock this like fake feminist in your movie as the nice guy in the film. It's all just giving me a headache as to really, was this really good for the movie? Because honestly, I wasn't a huge fan of the Nice Pool character. I thought this whole character was a weird, it's a bad part, not as funny part of the movie. And to think that Ryan, who I'm a huge fan of, was a huge fan of. Look, this whole issue, Colonel Kurtz did it really well. I haven't seen unforced errors like this since, well, Amber. However, the situation resolves. It's astounding how Blake Lively has committed huge strategic, unforced errors and turned a season of bad social media that had already resolved with the giant success of the movie, Facts, into potentially years of terrible public sentiment and online division. She no doubt thought she was dealing a death blow to Justin, but suddenly things aren't looking as smug. This is where the problem arises. This story was over. People were moving on. I think even people would have forgotten and moved on and said, oh, she was bad in those junkets, and she could have fixed it in the next round of press. But now this lawsuit, these text messages, everything that they're doing, the theories, the idea that Ryan was behind it and then put him in the movie, it was that bad. This has made what was just a stupid, I think, disagreement, some maybe uncomfortable moments on set, into something far worse. Because look, I'm not here as Team Justin, but I'm also not on Team Blake, where I feel like there's a lot behind the scenes that's...
While the world argues over who's truly to blame, Ben Shapiro just dropped a bombshell that could determine Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively's fate once and for all. The flawless image of Hollywood's golden couple is collapsing under the pressure of their own contradictions, and Shapiro came prepared with receipts. What makes his takedown so devastating isn't merely his commentary, it's the evidence he's compiled, exposing the stark divide between what these stars say and what they actually do. In a 2018 Vanity Fair interview that Shapiro resurfaced, Blake Lively passionately declared that women must have full creative control over their stories and bodies in entertainment. Fast forward to now, and Justin Baldoni's lawsuit claims she's doing the opposite, allegedly helping strip another creator of control over the very project he brought to life. Shapiro didn't stop there. He pointed to a 2020 social media post from Reynolds proclaiming, "Collaboration is everything. Success comes from lifting others up, not pushing them down." Yet, the lawsuit documents outline Reynolds' systematic effort to undercut Baldoni's creative position in the film he helped initiate. Then came the real sting. Shapiro played footage from the 2021 People's Choice Awards, where Reynolds accepted the Icon Award and declared that the entertainment industry thrives when we protect the creative visions of those brave enough to put their ideas forward. The irony, Shapiro noted, was almost too perfect given the current allegations. Perhaps the most damaging evidence, though, was a 2019 joint interview with Entertainment Weekly in which Reynolds and Lively condemned industry power players who use their positions to control narratives and sideline original creators. Shapiro immediately followed that clip with lawsuit excerpts accusing them of doing precisely that. "This isn't about a single lawsuit," Shapiro said during his segment. "It's about a pattern of behavior that reveals who these people really are when the cameras stop rolling." He then connected Reynolds and Lively's alleged behavior to 3 earlier incidents where Reynolds supposedly seized control of projects developed by others, including one involving a documentary filmmaker who was reportedly forced to sign an NDA after being removed from their own project. Shapiro also revealed that Baldoni and Reynolds first met through a mutual friend who vouched for Reynolds as a champion of underrepresented voices in Hollywood. Text messages obtained by Shapiro show Reynolds telling Baldoni, "Let's build something revolutionary together, where your vision takes center stage." The contrast between those early words and the current lawsuit's accusations paints a deeply troubling picture. The revelations didn't end there. Shapiro resurfaced a 2020 Hollywood Reporter interview where Lively said, "We need to hold power accountable in this industry, especially when creators try to silence others or take credit for their work." The parallels to the present scandal, Shapiro said, are impossible to ignore. Fans have been left stunned by the evidence, and social media has erupted with disbelief. Once loyal supporters are now questioning everything they thought they knew about the couple. One viral post summed up the public's mood perfectly. "I defended Blake and Ryan for years, but after seeing the evidence Shapiro presented, I don't know what to believe anymore."
These text messages they are showing was supposed to be I'm uninvited. These texts, I don't think that's the actual one. There's so many of them. But as we go through these text messages, I talked earlier, agree we just couldn't be in the same room with Blake because of the premiere, because of all these issues. It would be hard for me to sit and watch the final film for the first time at the premiere, just to cheer when we see our names come up. Yeah, I haven't seen it either. Crazy times. So neither Justin and Blue, or the editors who are in the film were able to see or get access to the film before it was released. Blake stole the movie from him. That this is now coming out through the text and through the lawsuit. Now, it doesn't mean that Justin didn't do bad things himself or uncomfortable things. I don't know. I'm still really torn on all this. But I will say, as I've now gone through all of the evidence that Justin's provided, it leaves me with a lot of questions. A lot of questions such as Blake Lively not wanting to meet with the intimacy coordinator that Justin set up for her. I'm good. I don't need it. There's a bunch of stuff about her blocking these scenes with him earlier. So much of what Justin's texts are revealing absolutely start to crack the narrative that Blake Lively has put out, at least her team has put out, to try to save face. And I got to say, it makes Blake, in my opinion, look 10 times.
What we're seeing unfold goes far beyond a simple celebrity feud. It's exposing the machinery behind Hollywood's polished illusion. Beneath the glossy Instagram posts and charming interviews lies a cutthroat system built on control, silence, and selective success. The question now is whether Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively will keep hiding behind scripted PR statements or finally confront these allegations directly. Their crisis team is undoubtedly working overtime, but with every day of silence, public trust erodes further. Fans who once idolized them are beginning to see cracks in the golden image. This scandal isn't just about one couple's reputation. It's challenging the foundation of accountability in Hollywood itself. If stars as adored as Reynolds and Lively can be accused of engaging in the same manipulative behavior they publicly condemn, what does that reveal about the entire industry? As this lawsuit moves forward, it could reshape not only how audiences view these two, but also how the world perceives the authenticity of every perfect celebrity narrative crafted for public consumption.